Hello, everybody. This is Pastor Green. We're doing another Bible study, Luke chapter 19. If you'd like me to come speak at your church, or if you have any questions, you can email me at godsohman@gmail.com. Luke 19, verse 1. And Jesus entered and passed through Jericho, and behold, there was a man named Zacchaeus, which was the chief among the publicans, and he was rich. So you can see here where Jericho is on the map, right next to Jerusalem. There's Jerusalem over there. And this is the ancient city of Jericho, right around the Bronze Age. You can see there's a giant ditch in the front, and then you had the wall and the lower wall, the rampart area, and then the upper wall. And if you remember in the Bible, the story of the guys marching around Jericho with torches and trumpets. This is the same place that they talked about that story. And he sought to see Jesus, who he was, and could not for the press, because he was little of stature. And when he ran before and climbed up to a sycamore tree to see him, for he was passed that way. And when Jesus came to the place, he looked up and saw him, and said unto him, Zacchaeus, make haste and come down, for today I must abide at your house. And he made haste, and he came down, and he received him joyfully. And when he saw it, they all murmured, saying that he was gone to be guest with a man that is a sinner. So the Pharisees saw that Jesus was going to talk to this publican, and the Pharisees said, what is Jesus doing? He's going to eat with a sinner now. And Zacchaeus stood and said unto the Lord, Behold, Lord, half of my goods I give to the poor, and if I have taken anything from any man by false accusation, I restore him fourfold. So he's saying that everything he gives, everything that he makes, he gives half to the poor, and if he ever does somebody wrong, he gives them 4 times what he took. Please remember in Exodus 22, it says if a man should steal an ox or a sheep and kills it or sells it, he shall restore 5 oxen for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. So he's basically saying, if you take something, you give him, 4 or 5 what you're supposed to give him. And Jesus said unto him, This day a salvation come to this house, for so much is also the son of Abraham. For the Son of Man is come to seek and save what is lost. And as he heard these things, he added and spoke a parable, because he was nigh to Jerusalem, and because they thought that the kingdom of God should immediately appear. And he said, Therefore a certain nobleman went to a far country to receive for himself a kingdom and to return. So before I keep going, I just want to say that the people this time thought, since the Messiah was there, that the kingdom of God should be there immediately. So Jesus wanted to speak a parable, saying that it's not going to happen. It can't happen at any time. Certain things have to happen first. And he called his 10 servants and delivered to them 10 pounds, and said unto him, Occupy until I come. But his citizens hated him and sent a message after him, saying, We will not have this man reign over us. And it came to pass that when he was returned, having received the kingdom, he commanded these servants to be called unto him, and to whom he had given the money, that he might know how much each man had gained in trading. Then came the first, saying, Lord, thy pound has gained 10 pounds. And he said unto him, Well, thy good servant, because thou hast been faithful for very little, have thou authority over 10 cities. And the second came, saying, Lord, thy pound has gained 5 pounds. And he said likewise to him, Be thou over the 5 cities. And another comes, saying, Lord, behold, here is thy pound which I have kept up in a napkin. For I fear thee, because thou hast a sinner man. Thou takest up, thou layest down, and thou reapest that isn't so. And he said unto him, Out of thine own mouth I will judge thee, thou wicked servant. Thou knowest that I was a steward man, taking up that I layeth down, and reaping that I did not sow. Wheresoever then gravest not thy money into the bank, at thy coming I might have required thy own with thy usury. And he said unto them that he stood, Take from him the pound, and give it to him that has 10 pounds. And he said unto him, Lord, he has 10 pounds. So I just wanted to quickly go over what was going on here. So the people thought that the kingdom was God was going to come at any minute. And Jesus wanted to teach them a parable, saying that, it's not going to happen now, it's going to happen sometime in the future. And he basically said, he gave money to 3 of his servants. One he gave 10 pounds, one he gave 5 pounds, and one he gave 1 pound. And so what he's basically saying is, God gives you gifts, and you're supposed to be here on earth using your gifts. And if he gives you a bunch of gifts, you're supposed to use a bunch of gifts. If he gives you a few gifts, you're supposed to use a few gifts. If he gives you one gift, you're supposed to use your one gift. And you need to use this gift to help glorify God. So if you're basically using your gift to get more people into the kingdom, you're doing basically God a favor. But if you basically are given a gift and you don't use it, it's basically like disrespecting God. And so this last servant took his money and he buried it in the ground. And the master said, you could have put it in the bank. You could at least gain some interest on it, but you've done nothing. And you say that I'm a mean man, so I'm basically going to be mean to you. That's just kind of what's going on. For I say unto you that everyone that has shall be given, and from him that has none, even that he has shall be taken away from him. But those mine enemies, which would not that I shall reign over them, bring and hinder and slay them before me. And when he had said this, spoken, he went before, ascended up to Jerusalem. And it came to pass, when he was up nigh to Bethphage and Bethany, at the mount called the Mount of Olives, he sent 2 of his disciples. Now, from Jerusalem to the Mount of Olives is about 13 miles up upon the common road. I don't exactly know how long it would be before there was basically roads, but there should have been some type of road going on right now. But it's about 13 pounds from Jerusalem to the Mount of Olives. And you can see that the Mount of Olives is up on top of a hill. So you have to basically walk up this hill to get to it. And from the top of the Mount of Olives, you can look down and you can see Jerusalem. You can see the Mosque of Omar there and the whole area of Jerusalem. Saying, Go ye to the village over against you, which at your entering shall thou find a colt tied, whereunto yet never man sat, loosed him, and bring him hither. So he's saying, you're going to go into town, you're going to find this donkey, and this donkey's never been ridden, and nobody's ever sat on him. I want you to take this donkey, and I want you to bring him to me. And if any man ask you, why did you loose him? Thus shall say unto him, because the Lord has need of him. And when they that were sent their way, and found even that he had said unto them. And as they were loosing the colt, the owners thereof said unto him, Why loose thee colt? And they said, The Lord had need of him. Back in Zechariah 9:9 says, Rejoice greatly, O daughters of Zion, shout, O daughters of Jerusalem, behold, thy king cometh unto thee. He is just, having salvation, lowly, and riding upon an ass, and upon a colt of foal of an ass. And the book of Zacharias was actually really, really good about dating everything. And it says here Zacharias was specific about dating his writings right around 520 to 518 BC. During the exile, many Judaites and Benjamites were taken to Babylon, where the prophets told them to make their homes, suggesting they would be there for a long period of time. And as you can see, we're reading the book of Luke right now. And Zechariah is way back here in the Old Testament. Luke 19. And when they brought him to Jesus, they cast their garments upon the colt, and they sat Jesus thereon, and he went and spread their clothes upon the way. So you guys know about the triumphant entry. They took the palm branches and they took their garments and they put it on the ground, and Jesus rode in. And when he come nigh, even though to the descent of the Mount of Olives, the whole multitude of the disciples began to rejoice and praise God with a loud voice for all the mighty works they had seen, saying, Blessed be the King that cometh in the name of the Lord, peace in heaven and glory in the highest. So you can see the Mount of Olives to Jerusalem is about right around 2 miles. Here's the Mount of Olives, and there's Jerusalem, and you got to go downhill to get to it. So this is the top of the Mount of Olives, looking down at Jerusalem, and you can see this right here is Eastern Gate. There's actually a story about that right there. The prophets told in the Bible, the prophets saying that Jesus is going to enter with the second coming through the Eastern Gate, but really the Eastern Gate's actually over here. They actually took that first gate and they covered it all up, so there's no way anybody can walk in through there. And some of the Pharisees who were among the multitude said unto him, Master, rebuke thy disciples. And he answered and said unto them, I tell you that if these should hold their peace, the stones would cry out. So Jesus is telling these guys, if I tell my people to be quiet, The stones are going to cry. This is a big day. This is the day that your Messiah is going to come into town. And when he came near, he beheld the city, and he wept over it, saying, if thou hast known, even though, at least to this day, the things which belong to this peace. But now they hid them from their eyes. So Jesus is saying, if you guys only knew, you guys are glorifying me today, in 3 days you're going to crucify me. And Ecclesiastes 1:17 says, and I gave my heart to know wisdom, and to know madness and folly. I perceive that he is also vexation of spirit. For inasmuch wisdom is great grief, he that increases knowledge increases sorrow. So the more you know, sometimes the sadder you get because you know too much. Exodus 12:3 says, Speak ye to all the congregation of Israel, saying, in the 10th day of the month thou shalt be taken to him every man a lamb, according to the house of their fathers, a lamb for a house. And if the household be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbors sit upon the house and take it according to the number of the stalls. Every man according to his eating shall make your counts for the lamb. It's basically talking about you're going to pick out a lamb, you're going to watch it for a couple days, and then you're going to slaughter it. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. It shall be taken out from the sheep, from the goats, and they shall keep it till the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall keep it, kill it that evening. They shall take it to the blood, strike it to the two sides of the post and the upper doorpost of the house, wherein they shall eat it. Back to Luke 19:43. For the day shall come upon thee, that thy enemies shall cast a trench about thee, and compass thee round, and keep thee in every side. And they shall lay even into the ground thy children within thee, and they shall not leave thee one stone left another, because thou knowest the time of thy visitation. So Jesus is saying, this temple is going to be torn down. Every single brick is going to be torn down. They're not going to leave one stone unturned. And it came to pass in the year 70 AD, there was a thing called the Siege of Jerusalem. And what happened is the Roman army came in, and they set fire to the temple. And when they set fire to the temple, all the gold that was in that temple melted. So the gold would just melt down the walls. And so because the Romans loved money, they took every single stone off the temple, and they scraped all the gold off of it. So every single stone of the temple was just took it off and scraped clean. You can actually see some of the stones left. It's falling from the temple on the wall. They're sitting right there on the Wailing Wall. And when he went to the temple and began to cast out them that sold therein, then they have bought, saying unto them, it is written, my house is the house of prayer, but you have made it a den of thieves. So this is actually the second time in the Bible that Jesus cast out the people from the house of prayer. The first time was in John, I think it's 2, right around 13, and this one's in Luke 19. So a lot of people say there's a lot of contradictions in the Bible, and one of them they say is this is contradiction in the New Testament. They talk about the money changers. There's 2 different accounts, so they think there must be a contradiction. But it happened 2 different times. It happened at the beginning of his ministry, and it happened at the end of his ministry. So this right here is a website talking about contradictions in the New Testament. And they call it myths and cherished illusions. Well, I personally think that evolution is a bunch of myths and cherished illusions. This right here is a couple more websites talking about different contradictions and stuff like that, like for instance Sermon on the Mount and things like that. And this is a company called the Freedom from Religion Foundation who talks about contradictions and that the Bible's not true. But I say myth and cherished illusions. Do you really believe you came from a sea sponge? Is that part of science? Here's the sea sponge right here. You can see all the little lines bring up to man. Do you really believe you came from a protista? Is that part of science? There's a protista there, and on the very top there's also a man. Do you believe you really are related to birds, dinosaurs, worms, sharks, and clams? Here's birds, here's dinosaurs, here's worms, there's sharks, and there's clams. And it says that we're related to all those things. 1 Corinthians 1 says, for the preaching of the cross is to them that perish foolishness, but unto us which are saved by the power of God. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and I will bring nothing to the understanding of the prudent. Where is the wise? Where is the scribe? Where is the disputer of the word? Has not God made foolishness of wisdom of the word? For after that the wisdom of God, the word of wisdom knew not God. It pleased God by the foolishness of preaching to save them who believe. So these contradictions of the New Testament aren't even real. I've not found a single contradiction in the King James Bible, but they're talking about like, oh, there's these contradictions everywhere. So Jesus cast the money changers out 2 times. Once at the start of his ministry, John 2:13 through 16, and again at the end. There's 3 accounts: Matthew, Mark, and Luke. So you can read that if you want to. And he taught daily in the temple, but the chief priests and the scribes and the chief of the people sought to destroy him, and they could not find what they might do, for all the people were very attentive to hear him. So the chief priests and the scribes wanted to get rid of Jesus, but because everybody liked him so much, they didn't know how they could do that. Well, guys, I appreciate you watching my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, comment. Make sure you tell all your friends about it. And if you guys have any questions, let me know in the comment section. I'll talk to you guys next time. Have a great day.